January has been very tricky for our small business customers, in particular those that haven't been able to open fully because of staff shortages and supply chain challenges. But certainly the second half of January, the numbers are starting to bounce back really nicely. In actual fact, they're 9% up to our 2019 numbers pre-pandemic. So there is a little bit of light coming through. I mean, we still need to be super conscious to support our travel agencies and our hotels, etc. But in terms of retail and restaurants, we are seeing a nice bounce back second half of Jan.
Okay, so when we talk about staff shortages, are we talking about short-term absences brought on by COVID isolation rules or a lack of available workers in the longer term?
Oh, it's a bit of a mix of both, but I think certainly the January numbers was the short-term absences because of the Omicron and the fact that, if you were a close contact, you needed to stay away and all of those things. So we're hopeful that, certainly now that, we're through the peak or supposedly through the peak, that will ease a little bit. There is still some areas where there's a distinct shortage of supply. Of course there is, but the crux of the issue of more recent times has been because of the Omicron.
What options does business have to try to improve their immediate outlook in terms of staff and retaining them?
Well, I think, they are working really hard to find ways to keep their staff because there's no doubt that there is sort of this war for people most definitely. And you will see it in your local coffee shops as I am as well, is that some are reverting more back to the takeaway versus the full service. There's a couple of days where it might have been their quieter days, they're closing and then allowing their teams to have some time off as well. I think they're just trying to be as flexible as they possibly can. One, to make sure that they can stay open, but secondly, to keep hold of their staff and not have to stand anyone down. Because if you let anyone go, it's very hard to replace them.
Now, the RBA has been talking a lot about wages and the need for them in Australia to increase. Do you think we're going to start seeing that now with staff shortages? Are businesses starting to look to be quite competitive to attract the right candidates?
Oh, look, I think without doubt. I mean, without some of the hospitality, etc., they're having to increase their wages quite significantly to retain and attract staff. But it is that tricky component of their outgoings in terms of, their rent and all of those things that they've got to try and get the balancing act. But, certainly there is that competitive environment about having to pay more for staff.
Okay, Julie Rinsky from the NAB, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirsten.